welcome to this edition of This Blue Dot. As always, I am Philippe joined by my enchanting co-host, Zeina Baidoun. Zeina, how's it going today?
Hello, hello. Great to be here.
Great to be here. We are so excited about today's guest. It's a story that we think that will resonate with a lot of people, a lot of their backgrounds, especially. And it's a story that never gets old, honestly. If you talk to anyone who has some mileage on them, they have some of the best stories you're ever going to hear. So, Zeina, I know that this is someone, his name's Awni Fakhoury. This is someone that you've crossed paths with in the past. So Zaina, if you want to talk a little bit about, your similar experience or where you already have met Ani.
Yeah, so being a part of the Lebanese Chamber of Commerce myself, I have heard Auni's name and seen him at events. Obviously, all the recognition that he's gotten from the chamber. So really excited to talk to him and dive, a little deeper into his story and learn what wisdom we can from this great man. And yeah, excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way I know him is that we both serve on the City of Troy's Global Advisory Committee. And
Nice.
he just has a great presence at every meeting, at every function. And I was so eager to get him on this show. So we're excited to have him. And with no further ado, we're bringing on Ani as today's guest. So we are honored and privileged and thrilled to be joined by a local celebrity of sorts today, Awni Fakhoury. Quick background, his current position is that, if I'm correct, and please correct me if I'm wrong, he's currently serving on as a member on the FBI National Citizens Academy Alumni Association. Is that right, Awni?
Yes, sir.
How are you doing today, Awni?
I am doing great. I'm doing great. I feel we just had our National Leadership Conference last month. So I feel like a big load is off my shoulder. I'm still recuperating, but it was the most successful conference ever.
And this is a forum for people to toot their own horn. Can you please share with our audience the special award that you were given recently?
Oh, I was honored, really, and humbled to receive the National Leadership Award from the National Board. And also, what made it so special also is the presence of FBI Deputy Director Paul Abeid, the number 2 guy in there, and whom I know for a long time. And he used to be the special agent in charge in Detroit about 3 years ago, no, about a decade ago. And that for them to be presented by that award, that was very touching. And believe me, as co-chair of the conference, I had my nose in everything, but I don't know how they kept that secret from me. So many people involved, but I believe I had no idea that I was getting that award. And it was awarded, I guess they worked it out where Deputy Director was going to be there at his main speech at that time. It's an award presented. They present it like once or twice a year. We have our conference, the national conference, yearly at every year different state. You have to submit an application, and you have to be a chapter in great standing and the board votes on that. And that was so I've been trying to get it for the last 10 years, and it's not an easy task because we are an extended arm of the FBI, but we are a nonprofit organization, 501.
Right.
So everything has to be funds has to be raised and all that stuff. And I mean, I can talk. I'll be honest with you. We were the first chapter to raise almost triple what any other chapter ever raised. I don't know how. I never raised a penny in my life. I've been chairman of the boards of churches and nonprofit organizations. I'm the guy who always stayed away from raising funds. And but we did it. We did it.
Congratulations. Honestly, outstanding achievement. Congratulations, Ani. That's awesome. That's really awesome.
Thank you.
I'm also thrilled because, like Zaina, Ani has this presence. And honestly, this is something that you guys have in common. And now that I've been going back and looking at past interviews, I have the opposite effect. You guys are always smiling. You always emit an aura of happiness and welcoming. And then when I look at my reaction shots from previous interviews, I'm like, I look like I want to murder somebody.
Oh, not at all.
Not at
I,
all.
I could
Philippe, you're
definitely,
amazing.
I could definitely
You
take some
hold,
point.
Philippe, you
And that's
hold the
not the feeling
space.
I get.
I could
Yeah.
definitely take some pointers from the two of you on how to just always give an aura that you're happy and welcoming and life is good. Because yeah, if you were to look at me, I'm like, man, what's going on with that guy's life? But anyway.
I don't know. I seen you at the Global Advisory. I mean, I think of you as one of us. I mean, always seeing you involved, seeing you happy and coming up with ideas and doing things. I mean, it's
Well,
you know, it's something you learn, I guess, in life. You try to accept things when you go through diversity early in life. You kind of learn.
yeah.
Uh, you know, I went to Highland Park High School, and my goal was to graduate and join the Air Force. I wanted to be a pilot,
Mm,
and I graduated from Highland Park High School in June, and my turning 18 was going to be January 10th, and I had all the recruiting, everything was done. All I had to do is sign my name January 10th, and I'm out of there. Unfortunately, my dad passed away at age 45
mm,
in August. And being in this country new with a mother and five siblings, I was the oldest. So it was kind of tough. That kind of put the plan, everything aside. And what I did is once I turned 18, I got a job at Chrysler working in the motor line,
mm.
shooting pistons. And
Wow.
that was my first really uh, actual hard working. But it took a while to get adjusted. But I did not stop me from going to school and finishing school and moving up in there in Chrysler. So
Yeah.
sometimes you kind of learn. You just want to give back, really.
Yeah, Awni, I love your story. And I'm first generation. My parents came over from Lebanon, and I always call your generation the greatest generation.
Thank
The one that came over and just figured it all out, and planted these seeds that we now are able to take advantage of. And maybe it's a slightly biased question, but I feel that a lot of immigrants that come over do experience success, when they come to this country. I mean, you definitely see it more often than not. Um, why do you think that's the case, Auni? Why do you think, immigrants that come over from anywhere, what do you think they bring with them that sort of contributes to that success?
I think the old immigrants, I'm not talking about the new immigrants now, but
Yeah.
I'm talking about the old, they came, like when we came, my dad came because of the fighting in Jordan was between the army and the Fedayeen at that time and all that. And he was worried about me. I'm going to be drafted or I might gonna, the young people get into it. He had no reason to come. He was a very successful, high ranking in the Jordanian army. He spoke very well English. He was had friends many at the British embassy and the American embassy with his position. And even when he retired from the Jordanian army, he had a position just because, I call it, contact consultants with a big contractor. So when things got really bad, that's when he came. And I heard him so many times. He would say, "And I'm going," and it took like less than 2 months to get the decision to come, sell the house, and get the tickets and the visa and everything. It was so fast. And always said, I want my kids to get education. I'm here for my kids. Even though we're only here 2 years, but when people ask him, why are you leaving? I mean, you live in a very comfortable, good life, you know, and he didn't want it to leave anything. He wanted, so when we came here, really, that's what it is. I think a lot of people, they worked hard. And I met quite a few people. I used to, I don't know if you remember, it used to be one of the largest Middle Eastern churches on Grand Boulevard and I-75, St. George Orthodox Church,
Of course,
which
yes.
they had the priest Father John Bedin, who was born here, who was from Syria, who served in the war, and he was an attorney before he became a priest. And he gave it up because he felt he wasn't satisfied, and he wanted to give. And I learned so much from him because he came after my dad died. He was, just a new priest here. I became like his son. and I saw the relationship that he had with a good friend of his was Governor Milliken at that time, with the imams from Dearborn, with the other churches, with the Jewish community, with everybody. They work together and helping each other. And I think that the immigrants, and I learned a lot from a lot of the people, Lebanese people that were in our church, Elias, they used to own the big boys. The
Oh yeah,
big
of
boys.
course.
Yeah. So a lot of those people are our church, and you listen to those guys and you see them so successful and so rich, but then you listen to their stories, how they used to spend 16 hours or 18 hours in the restaurant. They were there the whole time. Many times they would sleep there. So they struggled to make a life, and they did not. They made their kids work and be there, learn the hard way. The first job, I just one thing, it taught me a big lesson. It might not mean a lot. We got here on Thursday night at 2 a.m. One of my dad's cousins used to be a superintendent for a high-low repair shop. And so they came in to say hello to my dad. And he said, well, one of the cousins will pick you up I was like 14 years old, pick you up Monday to come and work, give me a job. I said, okay. So I went there, and of course I was chief janitor. I mean, 14 years old. And
Yeah.
there was this young kid that showed me what to do. And at lunchtime, he told me, come on, have lunch with me. So I went there, and I think that really made so much influence on me. He said, do you know Mike? Do you see Mike? I said, oh, Mike, the guy who taught me what to do. He said, yeah. He said, he is the owner's son. He'd been working here for the last 6 years when he was in high school and when he was in college. And now that he finished college, he's moving up, to help his dad run the company. I think what he was trying to tell me is that there is no shame in doing honest work.
Right.
And
Yeah.
believe me, I think that's what many of the people, then a lot of those people successful, they all wanted to work. I mean, I heard some of those people, the Syrian Lebanese, when they came, and the Italian, they were carrying suitcases and selling stuff, going from one, so they worked hard. Nothing comes easy. They build their businesses. And I think that's kind of gave an example, which is I'm proud now of all these communities. I mean, America is a melting pot, for everybody. Really, I think that's one of the reasons that the founders, the people who came 50 or 100 years before us, set an example, and they all want to succeed. At that time, everybody, looked for, and always they taught us honest, hard work, and nobody was looking for a shortcut.
Ani, how is it that your
Yeah.
family ended up in Southeast Michigan?
Yes, when my dad decided to come here, and my mom, and my uncle, my mom's brother, was here. He's
Yep.
the one who filled the papers, and he was living in Halifax.
Just having a family or a sponsor here. Yep,
That's it.
That's it.
He was working on a GM on the line, and he had a house. He was renting in Highland Park, and really that's the reason we came here. And then not many people move, and my dad's cousins were here. I mean, it was at that time it was really nice. You go in the holidays, see each other and all that. And I think that's why we stayed here.
Yeah, most definitely. It's
Yeah.
I think a lot of us, I think my dad initially came here to work in the automotive industry.
Yes.
And then that lasted like a month, and then, him and his brother ended up opening a small business. And, Awni, I don't know how much of this is true, but I've heard a lot of people say this. When you're coming from a place, another country where day-to-day life is hard, and even if you put your best efforts forward, the systems there just don't necessarily create a way for you to like get ahead, and you come to a place like America where people stand in line, drive in their lane, and you're like, oh my God, there's order. There's not chaos. If you do X, you get Y. You're like, oh my gosh, this is pretty amazing. Someone who's accustomed to just making it in a place that's really, really hard and difficult comes here and feels like things are easy.
Yes.
And I don't know if you feel that's the case. I mean, a lot of immigrants have shared that experience with me. They're like, you guys don't know how easy you have it here.
No, I agree with you. And I look back sometimes, I tell my kids and my nieces and nephews, who I'm like a grandfather to them, because I raised their, my brother and sisters who are My youngest brother, Walid Fakhoury, he's one of the top personal injury catastrophic, and he has been the top 100 attorneys in the country for a long time.
Amazing.
He was 4 years
Amazing.
old. And my younger brother, other one, he owns a on-site testing where they do testing for the courts, drunk driving, and he got like about 8-10 offices. And they went to school, and I look at him, I said, you know what? I never got a call from a school because of a complaint about any of my brothers and sisters. You know, because they knew that's the way it is. And I think the mothers also, most of the immigrants, they have strong mothers. They come here. I remember when my dad passed away, my mother came to me, God bless her soul. She goes, Awni, it's after, the 40-day and everybody leaves. She goes, it's God, you and I. I said, no, mom. You mean God, you and I? She says, no, son. She was only 38 years old. She said, I'm a mother. I have 6 kids. I know where I'm going. You are the oldest. So whichever way you go, your brother and sister is going to follow. So kind of like a big load on my shoulder. And I'll be honest with you, that's when I got with, Chrysler. I worked in the line for about a year and a half. Then I became a foreman and supervisor, and I kept going to school. I made superintendent, and everybody, all my friends, and I was helping to hire people. Why are you going to school? I said, nope, that was the goal of my dad. I wanted, make sure, and all my sisters in education and business. But you're right. Many of the immigrants, they come in, they felt they can do better in their own business. And that's why they started. But you know what? It was very hard, actually. It wasn't as easy as people think it is. But, one thing I can attest to is I never been called discriminated because I got into the system. I did not ask anybody to do anything for me. I got in a system, I worked, and I did what I'm supposed to do. And I know I don't want it to, keep thinking about my dad, that he sacrificed his life for us and coming here. And I just, my youngest nephew, you probably noticed, I'm very, very proud of my kids, the grandkids of my dad. I mean, my oldest son, Joseph, he's a pediatric hospitalist in Bronson, Kalamazoo, and he is just got elected as the president of the Michigan Academic of Pediatric Physicians. My second one is Andrew. Yeah, I mean, and he never got involved in high school in anything. Now and the second one, he's a dentist in Chicago, and my daughter is a pharmacist. My brother, Walid, the youngest one, his kids, they all went to U of M, and the oldest one just finished his fellowship in dermatology, Henry Ford, and his daughter and son, one of them went to Ross Business School and then U of M Law School, and the youngest one, Michael, who's my personal attorney now. I fired my brother. He's my personal attorney now. And he went to Georgetown Law School, and they both are working with the big firms in Chicago. And my other one is a sport medicine. So it's kind of they knew you have to go to school, and that was something. And when my nephew graduate, his fellowship at the dinner, and the funny thing about it, really, all of them, my kids, my niece, none of them wanted to have a gathering, a party for them. They all refused. They're all modest, just like my dad used to be, and humble. And they said, what's the big deal? Everybody can be a lawyer. Everybody can be an attorney. Everybody can be a doctor. I mean, that's their thinking, and they worked hard. I mean, you gave them the resources, but they also worked hard. And I think it just the parents, to me, I've been involved a lot with many of the parents on all these organizations through the FBI Citizen Academy and the Homeland Security and many other, even the Troy Police Department and all that, trying to go to schools and talk to kids. My passion been with kids, my passion been with senior citizens, and encourage them to go join the law enforcement. I think the parents are the good example. And I could see it when kids really, some of the kids get out of line. That's not always the case. I mean, you can have the great parents and then the kids, go. But to teach them, you got to teach them the right way, trying to be there for them. I mean, having kids is easy, but the thing is, you really got to sacrifice. Yeah. Sacrifice is the most important thing for kids, and it's getting harder and harder.
It's interesting, Awni, because I did have a question I wanted to ask you about, what are those values that you instilled in your children, and I'm sure there are many. Are there core values that you feel that were just, a must in terms of
Y-
instilling in your kids?
Yes, the first thing is I learned when my mom is teaching that you can get along with everybody. It doesn't matter what color, doesn't matter what religion, doesn't matter what. Actually, one thing about me, when my dad was in the Jordanian army, uh, I was breastfed by his best friend over us as a family. I remember them coming to our house who were Muslims, and so I call myself I'm half Muslim. I'm trying to get a place in heaven.
Oh,
Went to
that's
Catholic
so cute.
schools, went to Catholic school, and served in there, took first communion there, and then and actually he was his name is Ziad Majali, ambassador. He used to be the ambassador of Jordan. He was in Lebanon for 8 years, 6 years, and then he was the ambassador in Russia for 5 years. And right now he just retired in Jordan. So she put religion into us. She, no matter how tired she was, she always Sunday we got to go to church, you know. And she'd be sitting down in the bench, and I'm telling you, she would have her Arabic little Bible because it was everything in English. She didn't understand, but she's following. But she did it for us more than anything else, and she'd be dozing off. I mean, so tired.
Aw.
And this I would never forget. And put the values. I think you gotta show your kids, and you gotta really show them that uh, hard work pay off, and and let them know that everybody have to work hard. Nothing comes easy, and being honest, and you know what, uh, with with us with a name like, I mean, three of us, none of us has inheritance of money that's gonna make you just live off your inheritance. So you have to work hard.
Yeah, I think that's it's a core value. I think it's a core story that we all can relate to. My grandfather and my grandmother came from Italy, and I've been back to their home. It's not even a city; it's a home hamlet. And when I say hamlet, it literally is a street with two houses. My grandpa owned one of them, and
Oh,
Yeah.
no running water. They had an outhouse. I mean, it's just anyway. And he picked up his family, two daughters, which would be my mom and my aunt, came to the United States. And honestly, when I was working in Washington, D.C. as an attorney, and I would be working at these law firms across the street from the White House, and I'd be having lunch on a bench outside the White House. I can't tell you the number of times it crossed my mind, that story, that if my grandpa could see me now, I mean, it's like,
no,
I
yeah.
mean, it's one of those things that when those families made that decision to leave their home and everyone and everything they ever knew, and that's why Awni's story is so inspirational, because I mean, they want to come and they grab hold of the American dream. And I mean, I was hoping you could talk to us a little bit about the work that you do with the Citizens Academy,
Sure.
because honestly, I think it's noble, it's inspirational, it's incredible, because you came here and you have made this your a mission and purpose. And if I can brag about you a little bit, you Google this man's name and he's standing next to heads of states and dignitaries and the who's
Yes.
who of anyone around the world. So talk to us, Ani. Tell us
You know,
how it came to be that you got involved, because it only started in 2005. So you kind of got in at the ground level, I think,
right.
when it started. So
You know what, my involvement really was at my church at St. George, with Father John Badin. He appointed me on the board at that time. I was like 18 years old, unheard of. And I'm sitting around with all these big, super people who own the big boys and who own manufacturers and attorneys. You learn to get involved. I wanted always to help. That was because when I came here, losing my dad at such a young age, I didn't even know what a funeral home was, you know? So, uh, So working with Chrysler and trying to, do what I can do. I helped at that time, I'll be honest with you, started with the law enforcement with the FBI Citizen Academy. I helped at that time. They were just like it's still now, where people come in and steal vehicles from the parking lot, the new cars. So I made one of the meetings. One of the managers asked me to be present, and I did. I put some sense. So when I took an early retirement from Chrysler, and I wanted to start my own firm, was a consulting company. I had deals with attorneys and all that to help small business, and then the economy went down, and I get a call from one of the special agents telling me that we need you to go overseas. I said, well, I have to think about it. Before that, he asked me to join the FBI Citizen Academy. Uh, I went through also the Troy Police Academy, as a Citizen Academy, and I went through the Homeland Security Border Patrol at that time. But then I got into the FBI Citizen Academy by somebody you probably know, Bill Kowalski. He used to be, he lives in Troy. He used to be, I think, the chairman of Raymond Groups. He was chief security there for a while. He retired also. And I always was fascinated with law enforcement. I wanted to learn. So when I joined, it was in 07. We went, we had the honor to go and visit the FBI headquarters and Quantico at that time. And that was a big deal. Here is a guy, 14 years old, being at FBI headquarters, and Quantico. I get to meet quite a few people, I'll be honest with you. And about 2:10, I was asked if I want to go overseas, So I said, okay. So I had to go to Virginia, go through the process of the testing. And I did everything they asked me, and I went overseas. I was in the Middle East. Lucky enough, I was supposed to go there and be one of the attaché to the commander. Things didn't work out, so I got in a special unit. It was called the War and Persecution Unit. That unit was a very special unit with the special forces, with FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, law enforcement, judges, and all kind of stuff. And so I get to meet a lot of those people. I get to meet many of the agents. I was like a father figure to them. I'll be honest with you. And Secret Service, everybody. So when I came back, I got injured on one of the missions, which is I was honored and humbly I would do it again. My action kind of saved quite a few lives, including my own. So when I came back here, I got involved with the Citizen Academy more. Citizen Academy, they do a lot of nonprofit things. We used to do turkey drives. We used to do holiday dinners. We used to do coat drives, and you name it. And we used to go to high schools where I would get recruiter. I started that with another friend of mine, Michael Thomas, and we're still brothers, to be honest with you. And we used to go to schools and get those recruiters from them, like the Detroit or Inkster, some of the police department that they only require a high school to join them, and they would send you to the police academy. And I that's what really got me going, to see how those, using the FBI Citizen Academy, many people were volunteers. Then I got involved to go to the conference. That's when on the tape I sent you, the Paul Abate, when he was here, the special agent in charge, he asked me if I was going to the National Leadership Conference. I said, I didn't know they had I was in Indianapolis. So I drove there. And when you go to these conferences, this is one organization, they have zero expenses. Everybody is a volunteer. There is no paid staff. And all this, so I got to meet a lot of those people in there. And I'm looking at those people with their position, they didn't have to do any of that stuff, but they were doing it volunteer. And it's a lot of work. It's not easy. Really, that's what got me going to get more involved. All what they do, we do human trafficking, we do child abuse, we do, you name it. Nothing, not just little things. And to me, it's, the human trafficking. It's a very, very big issue. Uh, and that's the reason really the Citizen Academy means a lot. And I wish both of you would consider it for next year to join the. It's only an 8 week, 6 to 8 weeks course, 1 day a week for 2.5, 3 hours, and you get to meet all the FBI activity, what they do. And so I was honored a couple of years ago to be the first one from Michigan to be appointed in the national development team from Michigan. And I got more involved with them, trying to help fundraising. So I kind of gave them some ideas. They get no funding from anywhere. The funding is from the conference, what they make, and the volunteers. So I gave them some ideas to get some funding from quite a few people to help national upgrade. And now they are doing great. And don't forget, we are affiliated with the FBI, got FBI, NCAA. So everything has to be in accordance to the FBI standards and FBI reputation. People think the FBI, they sit there and listen to about my minds and yours and everybody's affairs or stuff like that. They ain't got no time for that. That's the last thing they worry about. So really, it's been a great opportunity because I feel we're helping a lot of people. You saved a lot of people. I am honored to say quite a the few people that I went to schools for recruiting. There's about, I think, 10 or 11 of them who are police officers in different departments. And to me, I look at it, maybe those guys could have went with a gang instead of being with the police department.
Sure.
And to me, it's a great idea to give back. And I'm very proud of I'm seeing many of the people that are giving back and involved. I'm looking at a lot of many of my friends in the Dearborn area, for example. Many of their kids, they go into Ivy League schools with scholarships,
Yeah.
And you talk to their dad, they're running a gas station or a store, they can't even put 2 sentences. But you know what? They're so proud of their kids. And I think now I see the competition as which school they're going to go to. And look at the Italians. I mean, how much they got humiliated and how much, they thought everybody who's Italian is part of the mafia.
Only some of us, Awni, not everyone, but only.
I got to watch what I'm saying. Hey,
Yeah.
but I mean, they didn't realize that how hard they worked. And I mean, people with really, like I said, 3 of our last names. I mean, it's not an easy name to move ahead or, I like this guy, and but I try to work. I work a lot with all of them. I work a lot with the Jewish organizations too. I have many Jewish friends. My first girlfriend when I was in Jordan, I was 5, 6 years old, was an Italian. Her dad, they were our neighbors. It was Maria. I'll never forget the name.
It's easy not to forget half the women who are Italian are named Maria, including my mom,
Right.
and her sister, and her mother.
Oh, that's so funny. My mom is Maryam. That's so funny.
Maryam, yeah. And in Lebanon, you call George, Sharbal, Ali, Hussein. Everybody is the half of the
all the
people
same
turn
names.
around. Yeah. So, but and then when I came here, I worked through high school at Zukin's Rib Shack. It's an Elmerson and Woodward. He used to be a Howard Johnson and Woodward. The owner was Jewish. So I'm easy.
I feel like that that narrative of like sacrifice,
Yes.
in the previous generations, it doesn't, our generation doesn't really feel like we have to necessarily do it that way or see it that way, that we can have the best of both worlds. We can have it all, if you will. We can we don't necessarily have to give something up to gain something. We're trying to sort of find that place. I think
I don't blame them because the old generation, they wanted to work, wait until, we'll go vacation later, we'll do things later. And things have changed now. And what's going on right now, everything's changed. And I don't blame them. And I think it's, I mean, I got involved with my kids, Philip, again, it's one thing I was almost involved with all my kids, every school they went to. I was either the president or vice president of the parent committee. When my daughter joined the International Academy here in Troy, I was the founding member. I started that, and it was, so I gave up a lot of promotions at work so I can be with my kids. I never missed any of their field trips somehow. I used to manage. I got promoted one time by Dick Dow, who used to be the executive vice president for Chrysler. and he got me promoted, and I went to headquarters for about four months, and he liked me, and he came in about 4 months. He goes, "How's my boy doing?" I said, "Not too good." "Who is bothering you?" I mean, the guy he played for Purdue. He was 6 foot, something. I said, "Nobody's bothering me," but I said, "Hey, I started working here on the motor line. I'm a blue collar. I like to be involved. I'm a people person, you know. I think if I had to go with people win the last couple, 2, 3 years, I would have been probably homeless by now. There's no way I can work. I'm a people person. I like to be with people. I like to help. I think I'll be honest with you. Anybody that if you're gonna have kids, I think you have to sacrifice for them. You really have to. You can't have it all in this life, and just hope for the best. Doesn't mean they're gonna be the best, but you have to, you hope for the best.
You are so much fun, Awni.
Thank you. You too. You
You
guys
got
both
you
are.
got this awesome energy, and something feels like you're just getting started.
I don't know.
You know, I know a lot of chapters are done, but I
Yeah.
feel like you have many, many great ones ahead of you. And I think your energy is what this country needs right now. You're a unifying, spirit. You're about everybody. You're about love, togetherness, connection, bringing people together. It doesn't matter where they're from or
Mhm.
we need that.
Yeah.
We need that right now.
Yeah.
I think I'll be honest with you. I agree with you 100%. And I am very hard. I never missed a vote, not even a school board since I turned
Yeah,
18.
good for
And
you.
it's very disgusting. I'm involved a lot, and I do, but I was introduced into it by Governor at 16, 17 years old that time, by Governor William Mulliken, you know, and he was really one of the most honest. And one thing he told me, he says, once you turn 18, start voting, vote your conscience. He said,
Yeah.
vote your conscience, and don't vote for, I mean, somebody else would say, yeah, I want you to be a Republican. No, he didn't. He said, vote your conscience, you know.
Yeah.
And
I
right
like
now, I'll be
that.
honest with you, I do my homework. I don't just
Yeah.
vote for a person. I don't care if it's my own brother. I have to. I vote my conscience. I feel which one is gonna do, for all. I don't. I'm not a self. I never been a selfish person, and but I think, be honest with you, the parents have a lot of influence on their kids, and
Mhm.
kids do watch what
Yep.
their parents do. We
Yep.
might not believe it, but believe me, they do.
I swear I told my mom that not too long ago, Oni. It's like,
Mm.
Mom, throughout our life, sort of growing up, her voice would just echo in
Yes.
my brain. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, here's that
Yeah.
moment that she warned me about. Do the
Mhm.
right things, Eve,
Yeah.
So they think we're not listening,
Exactly.
but it's all downloading like
Yeah.
behind the scenes.
Yeah. And I just it's one of the things that I'm really proud of and honored of my accomplishment was really going overseas with the U.S. forces. That was a great. I believe that was a payback for me, not being able to join the Air Force, and I did a lot more, and I helped our forces in my own way, and also helped many of the Iraqis that they were needed help through us, the U.S. And I made many friends. It kind of changed my life completely. And that was people. The sacrifice that people go to war. I think our people should realize what happens. Wars are destructive for everybody,
Right.
They sure
and
are.
wars don't solve anything. They
Right.
do not solve anything. And uh, and I think you got many people who benefit from wars, but it was very, very sad to see what's going on. It's very sad. Uh, One incident I would never forget was a CIA agent whose parents died when he was a very young in a car accident, very young age, and his grandfather raised him. And he was there, and his grandfather wished when he was very sick that uh, his grandson would do the eulogy for him. And you know what? He passed away suddenly. And to get out of the war zone, as all of you know, it's not easy. You don't just hop in a
Yeah.
plane and go.
Right.
You got to get out of it. It's very heavy. And I can imagine uh, having a 6 foot, I think 4 uh, guy, CIA agent that can knock a wall with his shoulder, crying in your shoulder. I would never forget this the rest of my life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And but we have a compassionate commander at that time that he did satellite for him, where his wife had a copy of his eulogy, and he did the eulogy. And he asked me to go sit next to him in the room, and the whole time he was holding the paper, reading the eulogy and talking. His hand was on my knee the whole time, and to me, I would never forget that. And comes here, and we got people in Congress and Senate and everywhere. They think it's an easy thing. It's not. It's going over there. It changes your life. It changes your families. People get injured, and that's why another thing is I try to go to police department and talk about some of the veterans. They might look healthy, but they're not. You see the killings, and then you are in a Humvee. They blow one of your Humvees. Hey, the next 10 get affected. You have a medal. Your head hits it.
Yeah.
So it's really, so it's kind of, that's one of the things to go back makes you want to just do things and see how blessed we are here. More blessed than what we deserve, and whatever we can do. And that's why I appreciate both of you guys. You guys do a lot on the side. I know, like I said, I'm a nosy guy. I learned that way.
Yeah, that's, nosy, curious, same thing.
Exactly. When I was over there, we used to go on missions, and then you get 6 people in a Tahoe, and looking around, you have to be careful. Oh, I see this beautiful woman with black hair and glasses. I see this guy with the bald, as you're going along.
With the bald what? What were we gonna say with the bald what?
handsome bald guy.
Okay.
Yeah. So they teach you how to observe, how to watch and everything. So when I came here at the airport, my daughter goes, "Dad, you are annoying." I said, "It's very hard. You learn to do that." I said, "I can't just turn it off." I said, "My life and my brother and sister lives was dependent on me being vigilant and being, knowing, watching what you do, And but I really tip my hat to all our veterans, all the people. And I told many of the Congress people a couple times is, what can we do? I said, easy, giving them the same medical coverage you got. That's all.
I 100% agree. We need to take care of them.
Yes.
Well, Awni, that's the perfect segue, because talking about always being vigilant and prepared for the unexpected, we have a segment on this show that is exactly the unexpected. It's called 6 Quick Questions.
Yeah.
Are you ready for our 6 quick questions?
As ready as I can be.
There we go. All right, Zeina, go ahead.
You want me to go first, Philippe?
Yeah,
okay.
Go ahead.
So, Awni, if you could time travel, where would you go?
Be honest with you, I would love to go spend more time in Jordan to learn more about that country that my parents and my grandparents came from.
Wow. So you would go back to like an earlier time in Jordan?
Right. I would love to go to the town called the South, which is a mountain and all that. And now I guess it's to go and just see how they lived. Because I remember very young, they lived on top of the mountains. And that's why they're healthy. That's why they can eat anything they want. Going up and down the mountains 2-3 times a day. That's what I would love to do.
Awni, next question. And actually, this question is coming from this Blue Dot audience member who you might know. We'll just call her Kelsey D, who wants to know the perfect recipe for making hummus.
Oh, gee. Go see Biblos Banquet Center in Dearborn, Joe Bessie.
I 100% agree.
The best hummus in the world.
It's the best.
Okay.
Yep.
We're gonna make sure Kelsey gets that information.
Yes.
All right.
I will get it for her too.
Okay, good. Yeah, you can tell her next time you see her. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Zeina.
All right. So, which Middle Eastern country makes the best grape leaves?
Oh, gee. Now that we used to have George Bashara and a couple of those Italian. They used to fight who makes the best grape leaves. You know what? I'll eat all of them. I think the Lebanese, between the Lebanese grape leaves, and I think the Syrian. I take really.
Okay, so those two are kind of tied.
Yeah, tied. Yeah, it's
all right.
Because the difference, I like the Lebanese a little bit more because they're a little bit bigger. the Syrians, they make them really small. So
All right. All
a
right.
whole pot can go in.
Awni,
Yes.
you have been photographed with countless dignitaries, including ambassadors and heads of state. If it were possible to have a photo of you standing next to any famous historical or political figure, who would it be?
I'll be honest with you, without hesitation, FBI Deputy Director Paul Abeid. I got to know him. He is one of the most humble. If you meet him for the first time, you would think this guy is a first-year agent. Humble, loyal, and he leaves his mark wherever he goes. Somebody like him can probably leave and make his millions, but he is a very passionate and one of the most honorable, honest, loyal people I ever met in my life.
Love it. Love it. Awni, if your life had a theme song, if there was like a song that could go along with your life, what would it be?
Happy life, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Try to make the best of it. I'll be honest with you. I love. By the way, they wanted me to be a priest. I turned them down. I told them I wouldn't last long.
Well, your last name, right? Your last name is like from the word for priest in Arabic.
Yeah. Anything that would help in doing many of the good people that can give back. Songs that would help me, motivate me to give. That's,
Very last question. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's a deep one. What would you say is the key to happiness?
I would say really always be honest with yourself, be true to yourself, and do the right thing. Always do the right thing, and just treat everybody equally as the way you want to be treated. That's all.
Thank you so much for your time today. We love talking to you. Your story is great. It's relatable. And like Zeina said, you're just getting started. So we cannot wait to see what you got next.
Well, thank you so much, both of you. Phil, I appreciate you a lot. And the more to know you is the more to love and respect you, my friend. I really mean it from the bottom of my heart. And that woman with that beautiful smile, you can see her miles away. And she is you just want to go there and hold her and hug her. That's all.
Yeah, he's a sweet talker. He's a sweet talker.
No.
Everything I say comes from the heart. If I don't have anything good to say, I don't say it.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you for thinking of me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great one. You're amazing.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
What are your values? What do you value? And I remember when a life coach I worked with years ago asked me that question. She gave me a paper with a bunch of words on it, and I just randomly started circling stuff that sounded right. And then she asked me, how are you demonstrating this value in your life right now? Because if you're not practicing it, if you're not doing it, it is not a value. It is just an aspiration. So if health is one of your values, but you don't eat right, you don't go to the gym, you don't exercise, do you really value health, or is it still an aspiration?
Just got done talking to Awni Fakhoury, a pillar of society, if there ever was one. Just a great conversation.
Oh, he's amazing. I loved his energy, and Philippe, that was the greatest generation. Honestly, it really was.
There's like I said, I can't say enough how relatable the story is, no matter what country anyone came from. I mean, it's the only things that really differ are the language and maybe the food, but I mean, those things that honestly, but everyone's story, like especially Southeast Michigan, honestly, the coming to work first of all, coming here because you knew someone, you had one sibling, one sponsor, and then going to work for a car company or something related to that and getting your hands dirty right away and making this country your own. It's the American story, and I hope that it's one that the newer and younger generations don't lose sight of as to where their parents or grandparents came from, honestly.
Oh, absolutely. And Philippe, I think especially for you and I being first generation, there's almost this like we understood the assignment
Yeah.
our entire life. And I can remember being a young girl and knowing I had no choice but to. There's no other choice. It's got to be this direction. It's got to be get an education because my mom wasn't educated. It has to be, moving life forward. My mom always told me, she said, "You're the only thing in the world that you will ever have that's yours that nobody could take away from you
Hmm.
is your education."
Wow.
And she said that to me from like 3 years old.
Hmm.
And she didn't have that opportunity. And so it's you understand the assignment as a first generation kid.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
like I was saying, a lot of those messages, a lot of those lessons, sometimes they're not even spoken. You just see it in the example of the way they live their lives and what,
That's right.
and the sacrifices they gave up. They came here with 2 quarters in their pocket, not knowing the language.
Yeah.
You know that. They don't have to tell you that. You know that, and
Yeah.
wow, yeah. So that was a good one. That was
Awesome
a good one.
stuff. Yes,
That was a good
absolutely. Absolutely.
we
And just a
needed we needed
beautiful,
yeah.
good unifying message.
Yeah.
And
We
everybody
need
should vote. I
we
heard
needed
him
a
say that too.
yeah, we needed a story like that. Everyone should vote, and everyone's beautiful and war is wrong, and yeah,
Oh,
those are
yeah.
things we're not hearing enough. So
Definitely not.
so
That's
thank you for joining us on this edition of This Blue Dot, and we hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. So of course, we can't wait to see you again on a future podcast episode of This Blue Dot. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.
ciao, ciao.